Alright guys, welcome back to our podcast. This is episode 4. We're going to base this on the topic of occult and cults. So moving forward, some of you may remember that we've had 3 episodes, which just had myself, Schuler Johnson, speaking with some of the guests that came on. One of the guests that did come on was Kaylee Dobbs, and she is actually here with us as an official member, and she'll be moving forward as so.
Yay!
So yeah, welcome aboard, Kaylee.
I'm
of course,
so excited.
Are you? How excited?
Pretty dang excited.
That's good. You have to be when it comes to the spiritual world, man. Or
you gotta stay happy.
Yeah. Throw you against the wall. Yeah, exactly. Look, she's helped me finish my sentences. That's where you know you got good material right there. So, along with Kaylee and myself, we have Jordan, Nate, and Ryan here. We got the whole team on the podcast tonight. So, moving forward, we're going to try to have the entire team for every podcast. May not work every time, but we're going to try to make that happen. So, the first 3 episodes is going to be a little different, but that's all right. But moving forward, we're going to have the whole team. So, let's see. To make this start off as fun as we can, every podcast episode, we're going to try to talk about paranormal basics and a hot topic or topics. And tonight is cults like Charles Manson and Jim Jones, and then talk about the difference between occults like fairies and vampires, thanks to Ryan's research. Of course, everything that we talk about is strictly opinionated. Some of it may be related to facts, but we're not telling people how to believe. We're not saying that there's one way to believe, but specifically we're giving our personal opinions and experiences along with some brief research on these topics. So let's see. Nate and I actually picked out this first topic, I think, from our last meeting that we had a week ago. We were talking about occult-related stuff, and we kind of had different ways of believing what occult meant. And then Ryan's like, you know what? Let's talk about that. Here we are. That's
Mine's
all right.
all the stuff you see on TV. That's what I believe right now.
TV's a lie, by the way.
Yes.
That's all a lie.
Well, not all of it. But...
all a lie.
So let's start with Nate. Nate, when you think about the word, and we'll start with occult. When you think or hear the word occult with the O in front of it and an extra C, what do you think about? What do you think that means?
I think of like leprechauns and old myths from other countries that you hear about in like fairy tales.
Okay.
As well as vampires. But then there's also a misconception with the word because it kind of sounds a little
culty.
Raw. A little rough.
It does sound
I guess
rough.
Because some people may assume that it's something bad.
Yeah.
It's not.
What's it mean?
Necessarily bad. The word occult
Ryan's being
is neither religious or scientific.
Okay.
Yes, so O-C-C-U-L-T. And then the word cult is an unusual gathering of a religious following. So like Jim Jones, as Schuler mentioned.
Yeah. Charles Manson,
and then
Haley's Comet. Remember?
What?
Yeah, there was Haley's Comet.
Haley's Comet. Was that with the older guy that was on the TV and he's real creepy looking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was he proclaiming that we were all gonna die or something?
He'd tell you that you could go to another planet or something if you kill yourself, right? Something weird like that.
You could ride Haley's Comet or something.
Yeah. Or like a spaceship's supposed to come down and pick you up and take you to another world, live forever in paradise.
Slightest stretch.
Is it?
Yeah, that's Scientology.
Okay, so yeah.
But
Heads up,
Scientology
we will
is
jump
a cult.
everywhere. It is?
Yes.
Scientology is a
Can you
cult.
explain why?
Maybe,
I'll let somebody explain that.
maybe we shouldn't say that because they have like a little military and they'll probably listen to this and come after us. I don't know if I want to deal with that.
Again,
They're scary.
You
They're
think
scary.
You think every religion is a cult? Or, I'm sorry, a cult?
A cult?
A cult.
This is a fun episode.
Because it's technically
I
an
think
organized meeting of people who believe in a thing.
Specific.
But it's an
pretty much the
unusual.
same.
Well, that's the thing we were talking about
so it's
before you got here. Was that some people who have, like, for instance, if they're Buddhist and that's how their family was raised, and they don't know any other way, they may think that Christianity or another religion is unusual to them.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing certain religions that I've researched in the past, that some of those. Most of those religions are open-minded. Like, there's not a lot of... Like, they're open to learning about other people. But you could argue that that could be considered a cult because...
Depending on your perspective.
Yeah, because it is a gathering of people, and it is unusual, and it's something that
Could you add militia into it being a cult?
Yeah, because they're gathering to do something bad. A militia?
I don't think they're doing
So-
something. I don't think all militias are bad, but I'm saying that you can.
So all cults are bad.
Not necessarily. That's why the word is so misconstrued, because you could look at the gathering of people in a religion could be considered a cult, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's just another word for, like Ryan looked up, an unusual religious gathering, but it's not necessarily religious either. So Jim Jones had a following, and he wanted people to follow him for a reason, but then the ultimate reason was something bad. So there's, I don't know, it's hard to...
It's complicated.
Now,
to
what
put it
does
in
the Webster
easy
Dictionary
words.
have to define
A cult.
a cult and occult? Because that'd be interesting.
I think that's what you put in the beginning, right, Nate? You said that occult has nothing to do with science or religious views, right?
So the definition of cult,
Okay.
and it's
According
actually...
to Webster, or
This is Webster.
The generic internet.
Yeah. But the word, I mean, the definition has evolved.
It has.
Over centuries, it's evolved in different.
Since the 1500s.
So it's changed over time.
So, a system of religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object. So, the figure could be God, and the system of religious veneration is the system of churches and the following.
and now what about occult? Does it say anything about that?
That is the supernatural, mystical, or magical beliefs, practices, or phenomena. So a secret society to study alchemy and the occult. So if there was like it says, if there's a group that studies alchemy, that's considered a occult. Occult.
With a no.
Yeah.
So basically, like vampires and whatnot.
Yes. So that could be necromancy, Kabbalah, Kabbalism, devilry, hoodoo, voodoo, witching. So there's like,
So it's more mystical.
yeah, and supernatural versus it's not religious or scientific. So there's no religion involved, no science involved.
In there it said, did you say like satanic or demonic or whatever? Because that, in some ways, that is a religion. Yet.
Well,
it was
devilry
listed-
is one of them, and that's
Devilry.
wicked activity. So yes.
Okay.
But we also talked about this too, is that Satanists are not necessarily following Lucifer. Like if you look at the religion, it's not what people think it is. They're not, how would you explain it, Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan.
Looking at you, buddy.
Go ahead.
Explain what?
Tell
Satanists.
us. Tell us about Satanism.
Goats.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no disrespect. We're just being funny here. But no, Satanism, I mean, I'm not a professional with it either. But a lot of people think when they hear Satanism, it's like sacrificing babies, cutting off heads, blood sacrifices. But it's really not that. It's like a way of, not selfish, but one point of view, right?
They can be selfish people.
Yeah.
But they're basically, the way that I'm reading this is that they're there to promote social justice and the separation of church and state.
Okay.
So they're about basically things that the government does to say we can't do, like things that people are making their decision about, like how to, you know, if a woman can do this to her body, or
Like you can't go running naked through the streets.
no, like things that like other people are making decisions for us as a government, saying like
They're against that.
yes, they don't agree with that. They're trying to, they are for
They're fighting the system.
fighting the system, but also making it apparent that it's not okay for these people to make those decisions for other people. So like I shouldn't be able to say to Schuler, you can't do this to your body if you were a woman.
Yeah.
They're more about the good of people versus like what it sounds like they are.
Yeah, because one of their 7 fundamental tenets is one should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never would have
The
thought
freedom,
of that.
the freedom of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend.
So, yeah, that's where the selfish thing comes in. Like,
I'm going to offend you.
meaning that if someone offends me, that I shouldn't take that personally. That things are going to happen. But that's where the whole selfish thing comes into play with them, is that, like, my mom has known people, like her friends who were Satanists, and she said that they're just very egotistical. Like, they're not very, they're self-centered.
Sounds like they're not compassionate.
Well, that's one of those things where it's like, then you really learn about it as you get into it. But
What else you got, Ryan?
Beliefs should conform to our best scientific understanding of the world. We should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit our beliefs.
They do have interesting points, I will say that. But I'm on the same same boat with Kaylee. You know, when I've heard the word Satanism or even the religion, I thought something totally different until we've had detailed discussions about what it really is. And I've also had other people kind of teach me a little bit about that in the past year or two, and it's different. It's not what I thought. It's different from like Luciferism and devilry and
but there
that
are
stuff.
people who do worship Satan as
an entity.
what they
As the
Yeah.
dark lord creature.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Did you read about their mission?
that's considered a occult.
Occult.
Oh,
Like a cult?
No,
letter O.
occult.
Occult. With the O.
Yes, that's why I'm saying occult.
Okay. Making sure.
Schuler. I'm just kidding.
Ryan, what'd you have for us?
But then,
See, because they
Is your name Ryan? Kidding, Nate. Kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Nate's a good guy. Go ahead, Ryan.
The mission of the Satanic Temple. Did you read what it was? The mission?
What was their mission?
No, Nate read it.
Okay.
Already.
Okay.
It's just that they politically aware, civic-minded Satanists and allies in the Satanic Temple have publicly opposed the Westboro Baptist Church, advocated on behalf of children in public school to abolish corporate punishment, appeal to equal representation where religious monuments are placed on public property, provided religious exemption and legal protection against laws that unscientifically restrict women's reproductive autonomy, expose fraudulent, harmful, pseudo-scientific practitioners and claims of mental health care, and apply to hold clubs alongside other religious after-school clubs and schools besieged by, that's a word I can't pronounce.
so
Well,
basically,
that was a lot. That was a lot.
So basically, people who promote hate, like the Westboro Baptist Church, where they basically are like, everyone's going to hell, and we hate you, and God hates you, and
So
they don't like that, which no one should. But
Well, we all are going to
That's-
hell. We're all going to hell.
well,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Anything we already live in.
but
That's purgatory.
that's basically, because when I first learned about Satanists and the Satanic Temple, I used to have an opinion about it where I was like, well, that's
Scary.
yeah, like what's that? And then
Yeah.
because my parents have been many religions, I've learned about those things. But then you also, but that's with any religion. There are bad people everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's why I stopped going to church myself because I was told that I wasn't welcome there and that I was going to hell. But then I was like, well, what are you teaching then? Because if you're telling me that we need to love everybody, then why are you saying that you hate me? Like doesn't make sense to me. But that's not the only reason. It's just like I respect, like Schuler is Christian, and
Well, I follow a Christian base.
Yeah,
I don't
but-
follow one religion
yeah,
anymore.
but he's doing it. But for me, it's like he understands.
Yeah.
Like I, accept everyone for who they are
Yeah.
because I'm a good person.
Well, it's just
And-
like many people we've had on the team. We've had Satanists.
Yeah.
We've had atheists. We've had
Yeah.
Baptists, Catholics, Christians, whatever you want to be. We've had that, and we've all gotten along because we're just trying to find the same answer.
Yeah.
What is the unknown? What is what we know as the spiritual world?
Yeah.
Is there a spiritual world? And if it exists or not, then why or why not?
I'd be curious, side note, is it called Satanism or Satanism?
Yeah,
Satanism. So like the other end of it is like it's almost like the mystical stories you hear. Like you were talking about like the fairies and stuff like that. Like so is it kind of like studying them, or like the act of studying them that it makes it a cult, or is it just like the storytelling, like just like knowing the story behind them, or
so
like just the fairies themselves?
If it's an occult, OCCULT, that's the study of something. So
study of.
Yeah, that's what it said. It's like the study like of alchemy or the study of
you're studying
wizardry.
Alchemy.
No.
So the definition of cult would be a following of a unusual practice. So
it'd be like occult would be studying what the fairies are about, whereas if it was a cult, you were worshiping the fairy per se.
So like paganism is a religion, but most I have pagan friends that, believe in God too, but they just choose to live their life through nature because in their mind, God created nature and the world. So they don't follow a specific group, but they also do have like a cult group because they're following nature, like they're naturists.
Yeah. It's like as opposed to just studying something, they're following something. Yeah. That's kind of
it's basically both.
Yeah.
Essentially it's both. Yeah. Okay. But Scientology, that's what we kind of got off topic about because that's a cult.
So we'll beg to differ.
Let's rewind. Let's rewind for just a second. Let's say before all the research that we did, all that deep thinking that we just did, before you knew what the real definition of a cult was, Nate, first, what would you have said? What would you tell someone that you thought a cult meant before knowing what it really was? Or
Jones, I mean...
Like occult, OCC.
Okay, so you're saying occult?
Occult, yeah.
Let's overpronounce
it.
Let's overpronounce.
Witches.
You say witches, like before you knew the definition. You say witches,
or occult,
black magic, voodoo.
But a cult, C-U-L-T.
What would you say?
I would say like a following, like Jim Jones.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what about you, Jordan? Before you had this discussion with us, everything, a cult. What would you say?
Pretty much, I think of like vampires and like what he was talking about with the other definition. I think of Jim Jones or Charles Manson or.
So you're on the same boat.
Yeah, Charles Manson. That was a cult.
So a cult too, like vampires.
But some people
practices and like herbal stuff or anything.
I don't think so.
That's think so?
Like every time I think of like cult, I just think of Charles Manson for some reason.
What about occult then?
Occult.
OCCULT.
The ones with vampires and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's what I think of as well.
Like mythical things. What about you, Kaylee? Before all this, what would you say?
For me, it's like I feel like when you hear about a cult, like they use that in like pretty much the correct terms because it's always about like someone leading a bunch of people into the woods to their deaths.
Yeah.
After several months. But like with the occult, like Nate mentioned previously, that like it gets misused a lot.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're into watching ghost shows, like ghost hunting shows, like I am, they'll be like the second they walk in the house, like, oh, they practice the occult in here. I'd be like, well, what does that even mean? Like, the first thing your mind goes to and what's conditioned to think of is, the satanic rituals, like all the, it's automatically bad.
Jump straight to that.
And so I never would have, like, I always thought it was just pure Satanism. Like, I didn't think about the fact that it could be like alchemy or astrology or studying fairies or vampires. Like I just thought it was another religion.
Well, it's also
I thought it was like one religion.
The study of being a sensitive too. People who are psychic. Because you're reading astrological cards and you're also
astral projection.
No, it's a true thing. Like that's
She's a witch.
No, but that's also a debatable thing because there's bad and good. So
it's interesting because I went to a spiritualist church over in December.
Yeah.
Because at this particular one, after the service, they have classes. So like basically, what mediums do is like if you went to someone who's a medium, they can talk to dead loved ones and provide you with messages and. So they're that's one of those classes where like you could hone your skills basically.
Gotcha.
So it was really interesting to go,
Yeah.
Because I only caught the tail end of the service because I was coming from Christian church, believe it of all things, because I do nursery over there, and so I was mostly there for the class, like to go to the class, but I got there early enough to like see half the service, and there what they do is like the whole, pretty much a majority of the service is just doing readings,
Nice.
like spiritual readings, like for people, like they'll say like I'm seeing a male step forward, like he has. Sometimes they'll say like facial features or something like different features, or they'll like he has this kind of thing, and someone in the crowd would be like, "That sounds like my dad," or something.
Yeah.
So it was intriguing, like definitely weird because I've never been in some place big like that.
Yeah.
But
It's like a community.
yeah.
It's not just like something you hear on TV or a store or something.
I don't know where I was really going with that, but it makes sense
It's
that
a
it
good
would fit
point.
into Occult or
Occult.
Yeah.
Occult.
But it could also
Capital
be like Long Island Medium.
yeah,
That's considered. I mean, in my opinion, I would say it would be a cult
because people are obsessed
because
with
people
her.
are following. It's a following.
It's a flock of
But-
people.
I'm in a cult then.
No, well, but that's
Just kidding.
It's a
well,
peaceful
but
cult.
it can be though because
It's
there
a
are
peaceful cult.
there are
Yeah.
people that do follow it.
It's a peaceful cult.
Yeah,
It's all right.
But that's the problem is it
The
there's
people
good.
follow her or a cult, or actually being a medium that's a cult.
I think the fact that like they're so obsessed with this one particular medium.
Yeah, but
People are like our
you
lover.
can say that about any celebrity then.
Yeah, it's true.
It is.
It may not be
Following.
it may not be nation known, but it still could be a following.
Cult.
A cult. Yeah.
It's almost when you put someone on a pedestal.
Exactly.
Yeah, a figure.
It's a worship. It's a type of
And
worship.
like you basically all you think about is them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminds me of social media a bit too. I don't know why.
It's a
But
cult.
it's like,
Yeah.
say for example, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, you following like, say for example, some random celebrity. Let's say, I don't know, LeBron James or somebody like that, or just any celebrity. He got over 1 million followers, and yeah, that's what I think of for some reason. It's just social
Modern
media.
day cults.
because they have so
Secretly.
much influence on your life.
Exactly. That's so true.
And then everybody nowadays, we're on social media. It's technology based nowadays in this generation.
Well, let's start our own cult then, guys. A peaceful one.
Oh,
Can't
I'm
wait.
just kidding. Everyone follow us.
So excited.
We'll bring you to the great side. No, I'm just kidding. No promises. Ryan, we still need your thoughts. Before knowing what occult was and a cult, what were your opinions on the words?
I think this would have been good if we discussed this when we first started talking.
It would have been. We just jumped too
But I
quick.
just don't want to put my,
It's a first.
I'm like, should we do this when we first started? Not
We can try to flip flop it if we can.
Can we start over?
We can. Let's start over.
No, it's not.
So we do need to stop because we were talking about flip flopping.
Flip flopping. We're flip flopping? This is just us being.
We're being
us.
human.
Yeah.
We're allowed to make mistakes.
We are. And if we're not, then come at us, bro.
No, I would put like.
Start a cult and try and fight us.
I would put like.
Oh, don't say that,
Like
Kaylee.
witches.
Okay, so a cult,
Occult.
Occult.
occult. Okay,
Not A.
capital O.
O.
Okay,
OC.
go ahead, Ryan.
I would put like witches or like Satanists.
Okay,
Before
before you knew what it
I
was,
knew what it was.
and then when you heard a cult, what do you think of first?
Jamestown, Manson.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought about like the big time killers,
What was Manson's
Kool-Aid Man.
camp called?
Hang on, Nate. I gotta finish my occult part.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
That stuck with me.
I
don't know because we were talking about it. And
Jeez.
I can't remember what it was called.
I'm gonna look it up real
I think
quick.
it was Happy Land.
Happy Land,
Oh.
Happy Town, Happyville.
No, that was like, what was that? Michael Jackson's park?
That
Neverland?
Wonderland.
Wonderland.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I looked that up recently and it was really creepy because you could see they were touring all
It
the
just
different
says
buildings on there.
Manson family. That's
Jeez.
it.
They had a camp. Oh no, it was a ranch. It was a ranch.
Yeah, ranch.
It was a ranch.
Oh, that's right.
The name of the ranch, Mr. Childs. What do we have in there?
All I see is Manson family.
The Manson Family Ranch.
Is that what it's called?
They didn't have a special name for it.
They're just the
It
ranch.
just says they were later dubbed the Manson family. The group was involved in the murder of Gary Hinman in July 1969.
Isn't that what that song was about?
I don't think so.
Probably not. Probably not.
I'm sure it's about.
Anyways, when I think about the old cult, I used to think about those stores, like buying the herbs and the little spell books, and you know, like spiritual relics and stuff like that, sage. I mean, obviously that's kind of in that, I guess, that category, but that's not the only thing. You know, there's different weird stuff, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
That's what that song's about. Okay.
Yeah. Let's not say that live, Nate. So we're not all entirely ignorant as we used to be. What do you guys speculate with the occult in modern day? Like, how's it used in modern day? Other than social media, like Jordan was saying, which you can jump back on that too if you want, Jordan. But other than social media, how do you guys recognize the occult being used in modern day society?
How about music?
I mean, we're technically an occult if you think about it, because we're studying the paranormal,
That's true.
supernatural.
Yeah. It's very true. Do you think it's more well known with the supernatural and paranormal than like astrology and
No, because it all comes together.
cryptids like vampires, fairies?
Well, I think a big topic is
Werewolves.
aliens, because the ancient alien theory.
That is so true.
Like,
Yeah.
I know it's pretty big. They have
Yeah.
conventions now, which I'm actually curious about going to.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
If it didn't cost a ton of money, I don't really know how much it costs, but
Got to get that money
I
to build a
kinda like
UFO.
ancient aliens. It's fun to
like
think about that.
I like that guy with the hair like
Crazy
me.
haired man.
Yeah.
I love him. He's cool.
It's like my older brother that I never had. The hair. Yeah. Sorry. But no, that's a good point though. Like ancient aliens and
I was thinking of modern times, like that's something that, like, you know, quote unquote, studying up on.
Yeah, you see it more often than you have in the past 10 years, I think.
Bigfoot.
Yeah. You think Bigfoot in modern day occultism?
I mean, you probably have select groups of people who are like studying
Studying,
that, but
yeah.
I don't feel like it's like as wide
Mothman.
of a following.
Mothman?
Per se. Not following, but
Well, I mean, we're kind of getting into cryptids here, but I guess you can categorize cryptids in occultism. That's even a word, and if it's not, I just made it one. So,
So is occult a noun?
not that smart right off.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's a
So
person,
technically
place,
both are nouns, but when you say
A
cult,
cult.
you always say a cult.
Yeah.
Because it's a cult. It's a single thing. It's not a plural.
Yeah.
So is it wrong to say the occult?
The
Yeah,
occult?
you say the occult.
The
Okay.
occult.
Or a occult, right?
In a cult because it starts with an O, a vowel or something. If
I
you
hope
want to
that-
get literal.
I hope there's someone out there counting how many times we've said occult and occult, and someone else how many times we've mispronounced
Was
it.
it your phone?
Occult.
They're probably saying these people don't know what the hell they're talking about.
No, we really don't.
It's just a discussion
Which
It-
means
it
we'll get
is.
Fox News later.
of
Oh my
like-minded,
God.
of like-minded people together and talking.
We know a little bit, and that's what matters. We're just trying to bring out more information to the light, a little bit at a time.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like
I feel like it's been
dirt.
fruitful for me because I would have just kept on going my merry way, thinking like, oh, it's just Satan people.
Exactly. And be
Putting
like,
curses on
no,
people."
we're nicer than that.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder, though, like all the different ways that people can differentiate, between cults and, different ways of studying different categories and call it the occult. It's not just ghosts and demons and spirits and stuff. It's a whole lot more. Just like, I guess, herbal things, like when you're mixing herbs together. Well, wouldn't that be considered like a cult? Because of those stores that you go into, they have all sorts of different like plants and stuff. Whether it's to ward something off or clean
That's called-
your home.
Starts with an A, doesn't it?
Not apothecary, right?
Is it?
Because that's more for medicinal stuff.
Mm.
Like,
Well,
you're thinking herbal more like to ward off stuff, or
Yeah.
Herbal essence.
I had to turn my head on that because that doesn't sound. I don't know. I just recall seeing in those little occult stores different plants and stuff that's being sold with, like the energy rocks, the energy stones, and different books. And
well, but that would be the study of something, though.
so it's still
Magic.
technically a study.
Yeah.
right? Magic.
No, because
Is magic not considered a cult related?
no, magic is a cult.
Okay. But you said no. I just want to make sure.
I'm saying that there's a specific. There's just for like herbs and stuff. That's not. You can't pin that on one thing
Okay.
because many different people use them. It's not just one
It's a broad topic. Yeah, for sure. Oh, just a random fact here, by the way. Apparently the ranch did have a name. I'm seeing Barker Ranch, which is located in the Panamint Ranch between Death Valley and the Panamint Valley in the northern Mojave Desert.
That was the Manson Ranch?
I guess so. I had to look it up a little bit. Yeah. It is a place where the family lived while committing the 1969 Tate murder. La Bianca murders in Los Angeles. Well, we're going off just randomizing stuff here right now.
Working it back in.
It's our 4th podcast, so don't judge us too much.
What's the name of it?
Span Ranch?
Span. Spahn.
Yeah.
Span Ranch.
Okay. So it looks like why'd they have a couple ranches on here? Panamint Range, not ranch. I don't know why I'm saying that. Barker Ranch, Span Ranch.
Well, I think it was just named both.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting stuff. Anyways, back to the cult and occult. What else can we talk about with this stuff? You guys got anything? I don't know. We're shooting for an hour here, but I don't know if we're going to be able to make it with just cult and occult. We're going to have to find something else out.
Well, I'm curious now, now that we're a little bit more educated.
Yeah, just a little.
What would you do if you came across someone who used the terms incorrectly? Would you correct them? Be like,
Yes.
you're wrong. They would.
Nate would slam down the book of knowledge.
I don't like people
He's adamant.
who... Well, it's just... It goes along the lines of everything. It's
Well,
not
it
just,
helps.
Well, it's not just that. Like, there are people who, use many words incorrectly that should be aware of why they shouldn't use them or what the actual meaning is.
Yeah.
Because the more people who don't know those things, they're just going to keep telling other people, and then it's like miseducating.
It's true.
I've had to many times in my life.
Lay down the law.
Yeah, like actually, no,
Bring your sledgehammer.
it's not the right thing to say, and that does not. You don't know what you're talking about.
I think...
I've been done with my family before.
I think I'm in the same boat with Nate. I'd want to help somebody, be like, it doesn't really mean that, it means this, and try to help them research a little bit to know what they're doing. Because I know when I thought about the occult, I thought a little more negative thoughts about it than what it really is. Like you were saying, Kaylee, you think about Satanism, and it's really not even evil. It's different, but it's not pure evil.
I think that's just the popular way of thinking about that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Jordan?
Pretty much the same, because that person's gonna have that mindset that he or she is gonna think about. I cannot talk to that. Yeah, but anyways, that person's gonna have that mindset that they're right about what their definition of it is, and you should be able to be there for them and educate them on what it actually is. Because if they go ahead and tell that to somebody else, then that person's gonna tell other people, and pretty much that.
Correct knowledge is good knowledge.
Pretty much, yeah.
What about you, Ryan? If you met someone that didn't know how to use the terms occult and cult in the correct way, would you take the time to teach them the right way? Or would you just let them go about their business?
Let them go about their business.
You would? Really? You don't want to teach them the right way?
No, let them learn what they want to learn.
And then some people too are sensitive. What if somebody's sensitive about that topic? They bring it up to them. They get in a huge argument over it, fight over it.
Yeah.
I think these days people don't like to be questioned or told differently about stuff.
Yeah.
People can take big offense to it.
Yeah, so to play it safe, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are
on
pretty
edge.
sensitive on that. They are. They're on edge. I think I'd try to find a way to kind of weed into it. I learned things a little differently, or I read this. Maybe I'm wrong, you're right. Let's research it a little bit. And then as we're digging through it, if I'm right, they're going to be like, oh, wow, you're right. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Or if they're right, well, I guess I didn't know what I was talking about the whole time. So then I'll just blame Nate. But no, I'm just kidding.
I'd be curious, has any one of you guys studied the occult? What were you studying?
Ryan. For me personally,
Ryan
I don't
has
think
not.
I've studied anything other than just doing the paranormal stuff that I do. I mean, if that even counts. And it technically does,
I think
right?
it does, because
It does technically count. I study poltergeist and demons and angels and
stuff that we can't
ghastly
technically
creatures.
prove exists
Exactly.
by scientific means.
yeah. Well, we're trying to with our little gizmos and gadgets, but I don't know. We haven't had enough evidence to prove it to Ryan yet. Once we can get Ryan on board to see something, we know that we've done our job right. If we can make Ryan go, oh my god, that was real, we did good. All right. What about you, Nate? Have you done anything specific to study anything in the occult?
I mean, I've read about some stuff before, and
Like what?
Earlier today.
I was interested.
Get him, Kaylee.
Austin.
Just today is his first day. Can I cut who off?
Cut that off.
I don't know if I can. No, I can. I just don't know if I want to.
Anyway,
Go.
so I've studied like herbal remedies for things. So the different uses of sage and what they mean in different religions. Because there are religions that use sage. It's not. I mean, it's like a form of incense. Like the Catholic religion uses incense.
Yeah.
I've also been interested in like figure out how they're sensitive, how you
Kind of like reading people's energy.
yeah, like how does that even
How does that even happen?
yeah.
She was born like that.
Maybe
But
it's Maybelline. Sorry, no. We're spell catching for you.
He's no longer allowed on these things.
He's not.
It's not- yeah.
Ryan has been
You gotta have
disqualified.
What's it called? Comic relief?
Exactly.
Not that many times.
Too much laughter, Ryan.
I'm that good at it.
But yeah, those I've like read articles and stuff about different things because it's just interesting to me.
Yeah.
But
I just thinking that you got Sarah Palin when she asked you what do you read? Remember?
Oh my
She couldn't answer what magazine or what newspaper she
You've been
Back
Sarah
to the
Palin.
subject.
Yeah, that's political. We're not allowed to jump
I know,
on
sorry.
that.
yeah,
We don't
We gotta
know.
stay paranormal. But that was a good laugh, though, Ryan.
Politics.
Jordan, your turn. Have you found yourself ever studying the occult in detail?
Heck no.
You sound
I
happy.
have not.
You sound happy when you
The
say that.
only, like what Nate said, I mean, I've read up about some things,
Yeah.
you know, including the Charles Manson guy, who's everybody's favorite. But no, that's the only thing I really read upon when it comes to like cults and whatnot. And you know what we was talking about earlier in terms of you know, social media, us as a paranormal group, and you know, that's pretty much it.
But you're talking about a cult.
A cult.
We're talking.
Yeah, that's true. Good catch, Kaylee.
Oh goodness.
It's all right.
A cult, coat.
All right, so let's rewind from Mr. Jordan here. Occult.
Occult.
Have you found yourself doing any kind of deep studying with like spiritualism or different religious views, or even like the paranormal?
Vampires.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I would say like maybe spiritualism and whatnot. I would find myself in that category, you know, believing that there's a higher power instead of just, you know, being part of, you know, some sort of religion. Not saying that I'm against it or anything, but I mean, if you want to go into that, talk of that, then yeah, I have.
You don't think
read
we
about
just-
studies of it?
You don't think we just kind of popped in here without anything? We just big bang.
Pretty much.
It's another topic for another time. But
Yeah, we can go on about that topic for hours.
I think people got more into it like in the 90s.
yeah, it did seem like that, like late
Like,
80s.
Like, like movie The Craft.
Yeah,
I think more people got into like the magical stuff and
yeah. That does make sense. They did have a lot of films back then that kind of covered what we're talking about.
and plus like most people like murders were because of the witches and satanic
Mhm.
so, like, their kids died and stuff like that. So I think it was more in the 90s where they're more probably about. So,
What about stuff like Nate and Ryan? They're having their chemical battle here.
Chemical imbalance.
Well, what about like? Would you agree with me on this, Ryan? The X-Files. Do you think that kind of fits in with the occult? Some of the episodes that they would cover, because it wasn't always just about aliens. You know, there's different weird things that they speculated on, like
yeah.
beliefs and
It was a good fictional show.
It was. Yeah. No realism to it at all, right? I don't know. I mean, there is a lot of odd stuff in the X-Files, and like I said, a lot of the films back then.
I'm sure they based some stuff on some stuff, but...
Have you ever found yourself, Ryan, looking into the occult a lot? Like, studying anything specific? Not really?
No.
It wasn't until, like, you got on the team with the paranormal stuff, would you say that's the closest? Yeah. That's alright.
We're like a true skeptic.
I know, right? Huh. We're going to make a true believer out of you yet, don't worry. That's our goal. So, Kaylee, you already put your 50 cents in about the occult, didn't you?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I've studied, like, the psychic realm, like, on a tiny scale, like, because I feel like it's such a vast subject.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I've gone to, like, psychic development classes and things like that, and, like, meditation classes and stuff. There's this one guy at New Age People who's pretty good, and, like, he always starts off the class, like, explaining what, like, that spiritual world is.
Yeah.
In some ways, like, kind of, you know, don't put psychic energy in a box. Like, there's no one set way of, like, how to use it, because people use it differently. It's kind of like us speaking languages. Like, there's so many languages in the world, but yet we're all still speaking. It's kind of something like that. And so, for example, it's like, there are people out there who, like, you know, they claim that they can literally see a spirit in front of them as if it's like an actual person. Like, I've only had that happen once, and it was like, it wasn't like a human spirit, but it wasn't demonic. It was like good spirit, but but normally, like, then you have people like me where it's like, I forget what the term is, but like, it's like you sense their essence, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's like I pick up on their, like, feelings. Like, it's like a feeling essence. I don't know how to explain it. Like almost like an aura.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, essence,
like,
aura,
every person
energy.
has when I meet you, it's like you emit something from yourself. Like, I guess it would be your aura that I pick up on. And
how that
I just
person
get
feels.
some feelings from that. Be like, you know, it's like, oh, I can trust this guy, or like, oh, this guy is a real bozo.
Kind of shady.
You know,
the real Slim Shady in here. Watch out.
I've only really been studying it for, since 2012. I can't believe how long ago that was.
Man.
Being 2019
We're becoming dinosaurs.
I know.
Slowly but surely.
You know, so it's kind of one of those things where, you know, keeping my mind open about stuff, because we don't know what's out there.
I think that's the most fun part about it. We don't know.
It's just fun to explore.
It is.
I like going to those. I mostly like going to those classes just to meet other people who are kind of in the same boat.
That is interesting.
You know, and seeing how they think or how they do
the psychic world. You know
how they do how do you kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been heavily into. I've done something called psychic art, which I actually think is kind of fun.
I don't think I've ever heard of such a thing before.
And I don't think it's like a big thing, so don't like go looking it up, because it's probably like in like the psychic development class. Basically, let's say if I'm reading you, like. Supposedly, I hold my hand, like I have these like different colors like of the rainbow, which are supposed to like represent different like colors like of emotion or whatever, and so like I kind of like put them on paper, and then like I fold it closed and I open it up. It's almost like one of those ink blot tests, and so you start reading it based off what you see. And the reason why I love it so much is because it's always been like spot on when I did it. There was one person that I'll never forget, where it was like, I was reading the one I did for them, because you have a partner, you partner up and you do it for each other. In these classes, and I saw like a human spine, but like then like it almost looked like the way the paint was drying, like it looked like there was like an aura of white around it. And I said, you know, like it feels like there's someone, either you or in your family, who's having like a medical problem with their spine. Like, it's not a serious thing, it's just you guys are aware of it, and this shows that there's healing happening. And she was like, that's exactly what's happening. Like, her mom like was having back surgery or something, and it's
Wow.
like healing now. And I was just like, why never? Like, that's the thing with those stuff is just like, you think it sounds crazy when it's coming out of their mouth, but you might as well just say it because it ends up like they're like, oh, like that's crazy.
You
Like,
never really talked to them or anything.
yeah. And then like one partner, like there was times where like you're supposed to like pick up on something, like meditate or something, and
Yeah.
they were reading me, and they were like, they were like, you could tell they didn't want to say it because it sounded really dumb.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm seeing this rabbit, but it's a cat, but you guys are calling it a rabbit, like a bunny.
Yeah.
And I laughed because I told her at the time we had this cat that was so plush, we called her our little bunny. And I'm just like,
Wow.
I didn't tell her I had even had cats, and it's just like
Yeah.
the funniest thing. And so
Threw you out of the park with that.
yeah, so I kind of like going and just exploring.
That's impressive, Kayla. Yeah.
Those are just a couple of stories that I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I would say.
It's fun.
So it seemed like for you, more often than not, at least of recent, it's kind of like a everyday thing, or more often thing with the occult with you. You may not call it the occult,
Yeah,
but
I
I
never would
mean,
have labeled it that until
yeah.
tonight kind of thing.
but it's something that you're kind of dabbling in, and it's not bad at all. It's more or less opening your eyes to what life really can be. And I find that really interesting. Where me, and I think Nate and Ryan and Jordan, we've kind of just been in the books or on the internet looking at stuff and trying to understand stuff, where you're kind of actually interactive with it. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, because you can interact with it, follow it, or just read about it, you know, but it's in our everyday life. And a lot of people, even myself, I didn't really realize that until our discussion tonight. Really interesting. You guys have anything else to say on the cults or occults?
No, I think it was a good discussion.
No, you think it's a pretty good discussion?
Yeah. I learned a lot.
A pretty good discussion.
I think we're done.
You know what? No, Ryan. No, don't rush us off the
Never
stage. We are good quality. So, if any of you listening right now
Which is one
want to
person.
throw out some, probably just one person.
Don't say that.
Well, Ryan said one person, so if there's more than one of you out there, make sure you put in the comments that there's more than one of you out there so we can prove Ryan wrong. That's important.
We should have done live.
That would have been cool, too. Maybe we will do a live podcast one time. I think that'd be fun. It'd be different. Next week, maybe?
That could be dangerous.
I don't know. We might need an actual audience first.
Next week's the
Might need training.
Yeah.
Oh, my
next week's
goodness.
the thing.
We're a little rusty. Yeah, we have an
Might need some
investigation.
straight
Yeah,
jackets, too.
tell them about our investigation that we're going to do.
Yeah, we have some updates coming up, and I think this would be a good time to talk about that. Next week, like everyone's talking about, we have a potential residential investigation to do in Danville, Indiana. We're not going to release too much information until we talk with that person and figure out what we're dealing with, but it's potentially a scary location. From what you guys know, what do you think?
I'm excited.
Kaylee, are you excited?
Nervous, excited, all of those emotions. Because it's like, this is legit. But
Legit.
at the same time, oh crap, this is legit. Let's
It's-
not die.
It's organic. It's not a Hollywood movie. Yeah. Right? What about you? I know you're scared.
No.
You're a skeptic, so of course not.
Nate?
I was right. I've been there though. You haven't
about you,
been there
Nate?
yet.
I'm not
For next week.
It'll be fun.
I
Think it'd be fun?
I think it's looking for an answer.
Just-
if we can
yeah,
get, if we
yeah.
can get an actual answer.
What do you think about what we've been talking about the Danville house, Mr. Childs?
After all what you told me about it, it brings me to no provoking.
No provoking. All right, so there's your hint for this podcast. No provoking. Nate's over here being loud. That's terrible. I'm sure they don't appreciate that noise.
Those were background sounds.
Is that what that was?
Might hear that next week at the house.
Yeah. Yeah, if we do, hopefully we'll be running DVR at the time.
It'd be funny if you see a doll running.
Oh my
Oh
god.
gosh, don't say that.
Oh, there's another hint.
Like,
Dolls.
Oh, sorry.
A little doll just running across the wood floor.
I hope it touches you.
Nope. I will be gone.
Annabelle and Chucky had a baby.
Oh my god.
They called it Nate.
Oh my god.
Ow.
Oh my god. That is terrible. You know what? That's alright, right?
Is it though?
Not really. Nate, you know we love you. We're just kidding. We're just kidding. Taking Jordan's words. Nope. But yeah, we have a lot of good stuff coming up for 2019. got plenty of investigations that will start in May, and we got plenty of new private locations that we're going to have to contact throughout these winter months. As everyone knows, it's still a little cold outside. But we will continue to do podcast episodes as often as we can throughout the winter months. Maybe not as much whenever we start up investigations again. So if there's a decrease from May to November, don't be afraid of why. But we will try and do what we can with what we got. I'm trying to think, is that about it that we should cover for the podcast?
I think we're good. This means you have to post this like this week because we've advertised next week's agenda.
That is kind of true, isn't it? Yeah.
So
Alright, get on it.
Tomorrow? Yeah, I'll get it done tonight.
Since you don't work.
Yeah, pretty much. I quit my job. I don't work anymore. I actually did.
He's a nomad.
I am. And I also live in my car. I'm just kidding.
Like a kick him out.
Thank you guys for the free food.
Yeah, you live in a car with 4 cats. And they're in the trunk of the toilet.
Pretty much, yeah. Just cut a hole in the back, you know. It's toilet and escape route, but you know we can
Delete this.
It's. I think everyone will appreciate our comedic
Our
side.
banter.
Maybe not. I don't know. Anyways, everyone that's listening, however many there are of you, if there's 1 to 100, depending on what Ryan said, he said 1. So, anyways, whatever you guys think about our podcast, please let us know in the comments. Any concerns, suggestions, or any fun little compliments you have for us, we highly appreciate.
Or if there's any topics that you want us to
Absolutely.
touch upon,
Yeah.
definitely submit those.
That's a really good idea, actually, Kaylee.
I know.
If there are any, if there are any ideas that you guys have, for sure, yeah, let us know what we should talk about next. Because if you don't, we will continue to pick our own topics, which you may not like, and you may.
That could get scary.
That could get very scary. I don't know if it's good or not. And also remember that everything that we talk about is strictly our opinions and based on experience and knowledge. So please do not take any offense to what we say. And if you do, just go ahead and send us a message and we can discuss it. I mean, we might even bring it up in the next podcast and discuss and highlight what you thought about our previous podcast and get that squared away, because that's what we do and that's how we roll. I think that's pretty much it for this 4th podcast. Anything else, guys?
Nope.
Everybody stay frosty.
All right, is that pretty much it? All right. Thank you guys for listening to our 4th episode. As Mr. Jordan Child said,
Stay frosty, my friends.
stay frosty.